Hey guys, welcome back to cusomcomputing.ca. Today we're going to be doing an overview of the reanimation build. This is a client build and they need a demonstration on the functionality and the inner workings of the water cooling system. This will be their first time doing water cooling, so I'm going to do a full drainage for them and a fill port. Also, I'm going to go over the accessories that they receive and the function of the build, as well as the parts inside and any maintenance that may need to be taken place. We start off with the exterior of the build, which is a big window mod. This allows us to see absolutely every component inside the build, and then we're going to move to the back and take a look at cable management, the fill port, as well as the drainage port in the front. And then showing the accessories and some benchmarks at the end, 3D marks and CPU, and then we'll go ahead with the conclusion of the build. So here we start with the big window mod. The Antecs are known for their side panels as well as their side fans. That has a smoked side panel usually with a attached 120mm fan. I removed all of this and made one big window in order to see everything inside. So you can see the reservoir, you can see the pump, and you can see the SSD. Everything is visible, as well as the tubing and the routing of the water. This window mod was a custom made window mod, basically with the ability to cut the entire outside as much as we could to get the biggest view of what's inside. Next, we're going to take the mod off and take a look on the internals. The first thing that pops out in this build, and I wanted to make it feature, is the frozen Q reservoir. It's a 250 ml frozen Q reservoir where it lights up the helix. It's a blue helix that goes directly into an XSPC pump. The pump itself also has two blue LEDs as well as a blue interior to go with the theme, and that goes directly into the graphics card. The graphics card is a Radeon R7970, water cooled with a XSPC water block. This then goes directly into the Raystorm CPU block, which also has blue LEDs inside. That then goes directly into, goes into the crossflow radiator, which is an XSPC, a dual crossflow radiator. This is in push-pull config, and there's fans on the inside and outside of the radiator, at which point it exits outside of the rad up back into the reservoir, and then the cycle continues. That's the water loop. Next we'll be talking about the components inside and the lighting, as well as the fan controlling. The components used in this are very high end. Every single fitting is a bits power angled fitting, made specifically for its purpose. As you can see, the 90-degree angle fitting into the res has been lifted up by the mounts, the self-created mounts, in order to get it at the exact angle and height needed to meet the pump at the right level. The fill port is at the top of the res, and it goes to the back of the res, of the case, and we'll be showing you that later on in the video. The CPU is a Intel 4670K, overclocked to stable 4.3 gigahertz. The RAM is Vengeance Pro Series, 1866 megahertz RAM. That is not overclocked. It is stable at 1866. The GPU The graphics card is overclocked. It's got 3 gigs of memory. It's overclocked to 1200 and 25 and 1600 memory. I'll show you the 3D Mark results later. The lighting is 2mm strip of white LEDs that shines on the SSD in order to make it a feature. It goes all the way around the back, up, down, around the sides to illuminate everything on the internals. There's blue LEDs on the pump. There's a UV cathode in the Frozen Q T-virus reservoir, as well as 4 blue LEDs on the CPU. So you can see how it lights up. Blue LEDs in that, as well as a blue LED in the top 200mm exhaust fan. Alright, now we're going to move to the front panel of the rig to show you that. Next we'll be discussing the front. Installed is a DVD writer as well as a fan controller. This fan controller is touchscreen and controls all 5 fans. That includes the 4 fans that are in push-pull config for the radiator, 2 at the front, 2 at the back, as well as the final 120mm fan at the back. The top big boy fan, 200mm fan, is controlled at the back with a switch. These 2 fans at the front are pulling air in and both have fan filters on them. In order to get to a fan's configuration, you merely just touch the fan you want to work with, activate it, and then you can increase the RPMs. Deactivate it and it'll stay there. So if you wanted to activate, increase the RPMs, turn it off. I find the best and most comforting is around 1200 to 1100 RPMs for these fans, as well as it's the quietest. And that will decrease shortly. Yeah. Now we're going to access the fill port. The fill port is out the front, and it's right down here. Now this compartment here, you don't need to actually unlock it or anything. All you have to do is push it from the inside. And that pops right out. Once you have this popped off, it's very easy to access the fill port. And you can see it right there. So that's the drain port. I'm going to take the cover off. And you can see it there. Now I'll demonstrate the drainage system as well as the filling system. This build comes with 2 pipes. One's a fill port and one's for the drainage port. This one here is the coolant's quick disconnect, no drip, for the drainage port. Just take off the cap, and then you're going to place it. You're going to attach it right there, and it's going to drain right out, and I'll demonstrate that later. Before you do that though, you're going to have to allow some air to come into the system. So the fill port is back here. Here's the fill port on the side of the case. All you have to do is unscrew this, and that will let air come out into the case. When you are filling it, you're going to be using this tube here, this connection tube here. Screw this on. Oops. screwed on right there, and you're going to fill it through here like so. Okay, so now that we have it all ready we've got our bucket and we have our quick disconnect here, we're simply going to just push this quick disconnect onto the valve that I showed you earlier, and the water is just going to flow out. Now keep in mind you're going to put your hand here to brace it, because you're going to be putting pressure on the pump, so we don't want it to move, which it's not going to anyways, but just in case. Now that the system is drained, I'm going to make a note. Here is the quick disconnect that we used, and in order to effectively drain it, this goes on top as a compression fitting, but in order to get underneath the rad, it's a lot simpler if you take this piece off and just drain it by plugging this in there. You don't need the compression fitting on top of this, so just keep this part off and plug it in, it'll drain out, and then in order to undrain it, you kind of just push this back and it'll pop out. So if you push it out like that, then it just pops right off. So now that we're going to fill it up again, we're going to fill it up. This will come with it. It's a little port filler, and we're going to be using distilled water. And I'll show you the process of filling it up. Okay, so we're just going to fill this up. And take you around back. So we already have the, oops, let me get some light over here. We already have the fill port screwed in. Sorry, and we're just going to, it was impossible to use one hand, so we're just going to squeeze the bottle into that tube, and that's how you fill it up. Alright, I figured it'd be easier if you can just watch the water fill up. So all I'm doing is I'm taking this, putting it in the tube and squeezing. Alright, there we go. And you have to be patient because there's not a lot of air exhaust. Alright, the res is filled up to the top, so we're going to go ahead and turn it on. It should fill most of the loop, and then we'll top off the res, and that's all there is to it. Close up the fill port, and that's it. So here we're just going to turn it on. Those bubbles are normal because it's getting all the air out. As well as we put fresher anti-biocides in there as well, so That's got a little bit of a bubble to it until it clears out. And it'll take probably about an hour for that air bubbles to come out. In the meantime, we will run some tests and top off the res, and it'll clear out in about an hour. So I'm going to go bring this over to the test bench and start running some 3D mark scores for you. Alright, we're going to show the 3D mark scores here now. We've got Trix value of overclock of 1200 and 1600, and we've got the CPU temps there, so we're just going to run this, and I'll fast forward it quickly just so you don't have to sit and watch all of these annoying tests, but we'll output the test results as soon as they come. So as these tests are going, I will say that this is by far the best modded and best overall computer that I've built. It doesn't have custom cabling, but I've made sure that none of the cables are visible, and the ones that are have been either colored black or I've shrank them with black. This computer runs everything on Ultra and is quite impressive for gaming as well as video editing. The one thing that I do take pride in is the usage of the Antec space. These cases are mid-sized tower cases, so they're not full-size towers yet. Being able to fit a dual radiator with a push-pull config, as well as a full 250 milliliter reservoir inside the case, is why I created that big window to see everything. So here's a final overview of the entire system. Like I said, it's got a i5 4670K overclocked to 4.3 stable. I've made a feature of the HyperX SSD there up at the front with the LED shining on it, as well as the 7970 overclocked to 1200 and 1600 stable. The top blue LED big boy fan is controlled at the back, and the side panel has the fill port. The cable management is as much as I could because there's a lot of stuff in this case, as well as there's a 3 terabyte SATA drive mounted at the back, and it closes without even bubbling the side port. The front again has 2 fan filters, as well as a touchscreen fan controller, which controls all 5 of the fans in the system. 2 USB 2.0s up at the front, as well as audio, and a SATA port at the front. Power reset, as well as everything else you need to know, is in the box that comes with it. So thank you, subscribe, and let me know what you think.